I never imagined that a single act of kindness would one day decide my fate. My name is Elias, a humble villager living under the rule of a mighty king. I had always believed in helping those in need, be they human or beast. One fateful evening, as I wandered through the dense forest near my village, a deep, sorrowful growl echoed through the trees. My heart pounded. Something was lurking beyond the thick bushes. I hesitated, my instincts screaming at me to flee. But curiosity gripped me. Slowly I stepped forward, my breath hitching with every cautious move. Peering through the dense leaves, I gasped. A massive lion lay sprawled on the forest floor, its golden mane dust-covered, its mighty frame trembling. Its right paw was swollen, a deep wound visible even in the dim twilight. But what truly unsettled me were its eyes, piercing yet pleading, filled not with anger, but with a silent cry for help. Fear clawed at my chest. A wild beast this powerful could tear me apart in seconds. Yet as I gazed into its pain-ridden eyes, my hesitation melted away. Carefully, I stepped closer, my hands trembling as I knelt beside the injured creature. Taking a deep breath, I examined the wound. A sharp, jagged thorn had embedded itself deep into the lion's flesh. It must have been suffering for days. I reached forward, fingers brushing against the coarse fur. The lion flinched but did not attack. With steady hands, I grasped the thorn and yanked it free. A deafening roar shattered the silence. My heart stopped. For a moment, I thought it was over, that the beast would strike, ending my life in an instant. But instead, the lion's fierce eyes softened. It exhaled heavily, the pain slowly subsiding. I tore a strip from my own tunic and gently wrapped it around the wounded paw, my hands still shaking. The lion let out a low rumble, almost a purr, and to my astonishment nudged my hand with its massive head, a silent gesture of gratitude. My fear faded into awe. I watched as the mighty creature, now able to stand, took a few steps forward, testing its injured limb. Then, without another sound, it disappeared into the depths of the forest, leaving me alone beneath the whispering trees. I never expected to see that beast again. How wrong I was. Weeks passed, and life in the village carried on. But fate had other plans. One evening, armed guards stormed into our village, their swords gleaming under the dying light. My heart sank as they seized me, their grips like iron. Accusations filled the air, whispers of treason, of theft against the king's treasury. My protests fell on deaf ears. No trial, no mercy. The king, known for his ruthless justice, had already made his decision. My punishment was to be swift and cruel. I was to be thrown into the lion's den. The very thought sent a chill through my veins. The next morning, the kingdom gathered at the grand arena. The sun blazed overhead, casting long, ominous shadows across the sand-covered pit where I stood. The air was thick with tension, a cruel mixture of excitement and dread. From his golden throne, the king watched, eyes alight with anticipation. The crowd murmured in excitement. The iron gate groaned as it began to rise, revealing a dark passage beyond. My breath caught in my throat. Then, from the depths of the shadows, something stirred. A pair of glowing amber eyes emerged. The lion stepped forward, its massive frame illuminated by the sunlight. The crowd gasped. A monstrous beast, its muscles rippling beneath its golden fur, prowled toward me. My legs felt like stone. This was it. My end had come. I closed my eyes, bracing for the inevitable, waiting for the beast's claws to sink into my flesh. But instead of pain, I felt something warm and wet against my feet. My eyes snapped open. The lion, this mighty predator, was not attacking me. It was licking my feet. Whispers rippled through the audience, confusion spreading like wildfire. The king leaned forward, his expression shifting from amusement to shock. Why wasn't the beast attacking? What kind of sorcery was this? I stared at the lion, my heart hammering against my ribs, and then it hit me. This was no ordinary lion. It was him, the same creature I had saved in the forest, the same beast whose pain I had eased. Recognition flashed in its eyes, and in that moment, I knew I was not prey, I was its friend. The great lion, instead of baring its fangs, lowered its mighty head in submission. Gasps echoed through the arena. The king's amusement had vanished, replaced by deep intrigue. He rose from his throne, his gaze locked onto me. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, his voice sharp, laced with suspicion. The crowd held their breath. The tension was unbearable. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sand. This was my chance, my only chance. Steeling myself, I took a deep breath and turned to face the king. The arena fell silent as I gathered my courage. With my voice steady but my heart racing, I spoke. Your Majesty, this lion is not my executioner. It is my savior, just as I was once his. The king's eyes narrowed, skepticism flickering across his face. I recounted the fateful day in the forest, how I had found the beast wounded, how I had removed the thorn, and how it had left without harming me. The murmurs among the crowd grew louder. Whispers of wonder and disbelief spread like wildfire. Even the king's advisors exchanged uncertain glances. The lion, as if understanding my words, turned its gaze toward the king. Its massive form, once a symbol of terror, now radiated something else: loyalty, gratitude, and an undeniable bond. The king studied the creature carefully, his fingers tapping against the armrest of his golden throne. A beast remembering a debt, he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. He leaned forward, his piercing gaze locked onto mine. And yet, kindness does not absolve you of your crimes. My heart sank. Would he ignore the truth? Was my fate already sealed? But then, something unexpected happened. The lion, with slow and deliberate steps, moved between me and the guards, positioning itself as a barrier. A low, rumbling growl echoed through the arena, not one of aggression, but of warning. The beast that had been meant to kill me was now protecting me. Gasps rippled through the spectators. The king's expression hardened. He was a man of power, not one to be challenged, not even by nature itself. But the sight before him was undeniable. Even a creature of the wild understood loyalty, did he? The air grew thick with tension. I could see the king's mind working, weighing the spectacle before him against his pride and authority. A long silence stretched across the arena. Then, with a deep sigh, he rose to his feet. If a beast can remember kindness, he declared, his voice carrying over the hushed crowd, then what kind of ruler would I be if I did not do the same? My breath caught. Was this truly happening? The king's piercing eyes met mine. Elias, you are free. Relief crashed over me like a tidal wave. A collective exhale spread through the crowd, followed by murmurs of amazement. The guards hesitated before stepping back, no longer holding me captive. I turned to the lion, overwhelmed with gratitude. It had saved my life twice, once in the forest and once before thousands of eyes. The king, still watching, raised a hand for silence. And more than that, he continued, you will be rewarded for your mercy. A man who earns the loyalty of a lion is not a man to be cast aside. His words sent a ripple of disbelief through the arena. The king's advisors exchanged stunned glances. No one had expected this turn of events. A mere villager, accused of treason, now stood before the throne not as a condemned man, but as one who had gained the admiration of a king. You will serve in my court, the king announced. A man of wisdom, a man of mercy. I would be a fool to turn away such a soul. My knees nearly gave out from the weight of it all. I had gone from facing certain death to standing in the favor of the most powerful man in the land. The lion let out a soft chuff, nudging me once more before stepping back. It had done its part. I knelt beside the great beast, my hand resting against its mane. Thank you, I whispered. It did not need words to understand. It turned, its massive form retreating toward the still open gate. The guards did not stop it. They would not dare. As the lion disappeared into the shadows from which it had come, I knew I would never see it again. But our bond would never be broken. Some connections transcend words, time, and even kingdoms. The king stepped down from his throne, standing before me. Tell me, Elias, he said, his voice softer now, what will you do with this second chance? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Teach, your majesty. I will teach kindness, justice, and the power of gratitude. The king studied me for a long moment before nodding. Then let this lesson not be yours alone. He turned to his people, his voice strong. Let all who witness this day remember, kindness is never forgotten. His words echoed through the arena, sealing my fate in a way I had never imagined. The days that followed were unlike anything I had known. No longer a simple villager, I walked through the grand halls of the palace, my story whispered by nobles and peasants alike. I was not rich in gold, but in something far greater, wisdom, respect, and the knowledge that a single act of compassion had changed my life. People sought me out not as a man of status, but as one who had proven that even in the darkest moments, kindness could be repaid in ways no one could foresee, and so my life's purpose became clear. I dedicated my days to spreading the lessons I had learned. I told my tale to all who would listen, not for fame, but for the hope that it might inspire others. And though the lion had long since returned to the wild, its spirit lived on in every person who chose mercy over cruelty, justice over blind punishment. It became a legend passed down for generations, a tale of a man and a beast bound by fate, proving that even the fiercest of creatures never forget an act of kindness.